Hello, my name is Asif Ramzan, and today we are going to discuss an important topic in the public administration, that is Simon's decision making theory. Now, before going into details of Simon's decision making theory, let's try and understand what is decision making. We make decisions every day. You make decisions early in the morning whether to go for a picnic or to go for movies. So decision making actually is a process of choosing among us various courses or alternatives of the action. Like, for example, you are feeling bored, you are at home. Now you have an option. You want to go for movies, you want to go for picnic, or you want to go to meet a friend. So actually decision making process means that you are choosing among us various alternative courses of action. You want to choose this action, you want to go for movie, or you want to go to meet a friend. So you are actually, decision making process means actually an act of choosing among us various alternatives. Now, the importance of decision making can be gauged from the fact that certain decision makers, certain thinkers in the public administration, they say that decision making is soul of an organization. And M.T. Copeland, he goes to the extent of saying that administration essentially is decision making process. He says that administration is all about decision making. Now, wherever you find such questions, whenever you are writing answers, you have to quote the thinkers profusely. It will help you scope better. Okay. After decision making, we have understood that decision making simply is a process of making a choice among us various alternatives. Let's try to understand who was Herbert Simon and what his theory is all about. Firstly, Herbert Simon, he was an American political and social scientist. He won Nobel Prize in economics. He equates administration with the decision making. He says administration is decision making. Fine. He blended economics theory and philosophy. Now, why I am trying to tell you few points about Herbert Simon is that because in certain civil service examinations, a direct question may be asked. And as far as UPSC is concerned, no direct question will be asked. An indirect question is asked usually. So, it's important to understand the concepts. Once concepts are clear, you can write an answer. Fine. Herbert Simon has said a lot about the decision making process. Now, let's simplify it and study it under three pillars of Simon's decision making theory. The first pillar is that decision is a combination of fact and value proposition, also known as fact value dichotomy. Herbert Simon says that whenever we take any decision, what is decision? It is combination of fact and value proposition. Like, for example, you go to any rural area and you see that the people are very poor. They don't have means to get their students educated. So what you feel bad about them. So you take a decision that you will start a school for the poor. Fine. Now, your decision, it has two elements. Firstly, value element, that I want to start school for the poor in this rural area. It is a value proposition. Then there's fact. I need 10 lakh rupees to start school. So every decision has a fact element and a value element. That is what we call fact value dichotomy. And value is something, it's a kind of preference. Like I said, I want to start a school for the poor, and then fact is I need 10 lakh rupees to start a school. As simple as that. Now, the aim of Simon was to, bring sort of analysis into the decisions that we are taking. Simon is believed to have undervalued this proposition, and he said that this proposition, fact value dichotomy or the fact and value proposition, it is only theoretical, but he has undervalued his contribution, because this fact value dichotomy, it is something that we need, that we use whenever we are taking decisions. We need these concepts. We do these concepts, we analyze these finer elements in a decision. So Simon has undervalued his contribution here. Now, coming to the second pillar, very important pillar. Simon explains that any decision is a choice among us certain alternatives, what we have been discussing so far. Now, this choice among a certain alternatives to maximize the profit. It is concept of the economics. Fine. When faced with problem, whenever we have a problem, we have a lot of alternatives and we choose one to maximize the profit. It is the concept of the economics. Every alternative has a consequence. Like as I said at the outset, for example, you are feeling bored, so what will you do? You decide, I'll go to watch a movie, or I'll go to meet a friend, or something else. All your decisions, they have a consequence. For example, you go to watch a movie and you get headache, it has a consequence. Or you go to meet a friend, so you end up spending a lot of money, so it has a consequence. So every alternative has a consequence. If you have a problem, you want to achieve its solution, so you have to choose among us alternatives, and every alternative, it has a consequence. Now what do? You analyze all the consequences and finally you take a decision. So here we can say that a rational decision should have three components. Any rational decision should have three components. Firstly, the decision maker, he must be aware of all the alternatives. If you are feeling bored, now you must be aware of all the alternatives. You will go for movies, you will go to meet a friend, you will go to a restaurant. There are many options. There are many alternatives that you can use to get over your boredom. Fine. So you must be aware of all the alternatives. Second thing is, you must know consequences of the alternatives. You must know that if I go to meet a friend, maybe I'll end up spending a lot of money. If I go on a ride, maybe I may meet an accident, God forbid. So if you must be aware of all the alternatives, you must be then aware of the consequences of all the alternatives. And final thing, that is third thing, it is you have to take a perfect rational choice. Fine. So these are the three elements, three components of a rational decision. You must be aware of all the alternatives. You must know consequences of the alternatives. There must be a perfect choice. But the big question is, no perfect choice is possible. It is impossible to make a perfect choice. Okay? It is impossible to make a perfect choice. Why? Because any objective rationality that fulfills all the three elements, like ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा. You will be aware of all the alternatives that you have. If you are feeling bored, there may be 1,000 alternatives to get over your boredom, but you don't know all the alternatives, because it's human mind. We are human beings. There are certain limitations. Then we don't know our consequences. I mean, our mind, it has limitation. We cannot look into future. Like if I go for a ride, I may meet an accident, God forbid. I cannot imagine, I cannot see into the future. So we are not aware of consequences of all the alternatives, and we cannot take a rational choice because हमारे पास alternatives, we don't have full information of the alternatives. We are not aware of the consequences of the alternatives. So let's make it more clear. Now, fine. Subject to rationality, Simon, he outrightly rejected total rationality as it was postulated by classical thinkers. He said that total rationality is something impossible. It is not possible. There are certain limitations, like cognitive limitations of the mind. As I was just telling you, that if you cannot look into the future, that you will take this decision, you will choose this alternative, what will happen tomorrow, you don't know, because your mind has cognitive limitations. Then there is time available. Sometimes less time is available, you have to take a decision. Then there are informational constraints. You don't know about this alternative, you don't know कि क्या मिलेगा आगे. If you are taking decision, like as I said earlier, that for example you are feeling bored, so you will go to picnic, or you have to choose. You will go to picnic, you will go to restaurant, you will go to meet a friend, or you will go to movies. So there are informational constraints. Firstly, you don't know if you go to picnic kya hoga aage, because your mind cannot tell you what will happen after 5 hours. Then there is time available. You have less time available. I mean, you have to take decision. It's not as if you have 1 year तो उसमें आपने सोचना है कि मैं अभी बोर हो रहा हूँ तो मैं कैसे अपना boredom कम करूँ. You don't have that much time available. Then there are informational constraints, like informational constraints. You don't know कि अगर मैं पिकनिक जाऊं मेरा एग्जैक्ट खर्चा कितना होगा. If I meet a friend तो मेरा कितना खर्चा होगा. तो these are the constraints. So in constraints की वजह से we take a decision which is called as bounded rationality. Simon rejected perfect rationality and gave concept of the bounded rationality, because we see only few alternatives, we can see only few consequences. Thus, instead of perfect choice, man acts as satisficer. Satisficer, it's a word derived from satisfy and suffice. That is, if I have to take a decision, what I'll do is I'll just look into it. I'll just see कि अभी मेरे को क्या लग रहा है, अभी मेरे को क्या लग रहा है मेरे लिए अच्छा है. Whatever I feel is good enough right at the moment, I'll take that decision. So I'm actually acting as a satisficer. I'm not taking a perfect decision, but a decision that satisfies me. If I'm feeling bored, I'll take a decision that will satisfy me, rather than looking into so many options for analysis, because I don't have time, I don't have information, and I cannot look into the future. So I act as a satisficer. That is, I take a decision which satisfies and suffices, rather than any optimal or perfect choice. Now, third pillar of Simon's theory is he classified decisions into programmed and non-programmed decisions. Fine. What is programmed decision? Like, for example, you are working in a bank and someone comes to your office and says that I need a loan. So it is a repetitive and routine in nature. You know, there's a procedure set. You ask him, आपकी income कितनी है? If he has certain level of income, you will sanction loan in his favor. So it is a programmed decision. Then there are non-programmed decisions. Non-programmed, exactly, you are working in the same bank. Somebody comes and he vandalizes things. He breaks your laptops and computers. It is non-routine. You have to take a decision. It has not happened. It is non-repetitive. You don't have any procedure. आपने procedure set नहीं किया कि कोई तोड़-फोड़ करेगा, vandalism पे resort करेगा, तो how will we deal it? No. In these cases, for example, again in the bank, same somebody comes and slaps your manager. It is something non-repetitive. You don't have set procedure for it. There's innovation required. If a customer is angry, you need to be very innovative. You need to calm him down. Fine. So these are programmed decisions. Programmed decisions are the repetitive decisions where the set procedure is available to handle. In non-programmed decision, there is no set procedure available. Simon believed that there should be an endeavor to make all the decisions. He says whenever we are working in an organization, we have to try and make all the decisions programmed so that perfect decisions can be taken. Now, there's just one more topic. It is Simon's decision-making model. It has 3 steps, as simple as that. So what is Simon's decision-making model? Firstly, if you are district magistrate, for example, somewhere, you need intelligence activity, you need design activity, and you need choice activity. What is intelligence activity? For example, you are a district magistrate and you realize that कि मेरे district में illiteracy ज़्यादा है. So it is, you have found an occasion that calls for a decision. अपने अब decision लेना है कि मेरे इलाके में illiteracy ज़्यादा है, तो how will I deal it? That is an intelligence agency. You are trying to find an occasion. You are trying to find something that needs decision. उसके बाद comes decision activity. Now you know that कि there's illiteracy in my area. So what will you do? You will develop analysis. मैं evening school start करूँ, मैं recruitment ज़्यादा करवाऊँ. So this is design activity. You develop and analyze possible courses of action which will help you to reduce the illiteracy. Finally, you have a choice activity. After intelligence activity, after design activity, there's a choice activity. Choice activity means now you have 5 options to reduce the illiteracy. For example, you have option like 1, starting evening schools. Option 2, recruitment of teachers, and maybe some other option. Now choice activity means that you have to select one among us the alternatives. So that is choice activity. It is Simon's decision making model. It has 3 steps. First, the intelligence activity, then we have design activity, and then we have choice activity. So simply, decision making is a process where we choose one among us the available alternatives. And Simon is a thinker who theorized a lot about the decision making, and his theory is based on 3 pillars. First, it's fact value dichotomy. Then we have second pillar, that is bounded rationality. And then we have third pillar, that is classification of the decisions, that is programmed and non-programmed decisions. And then we have Simon's decision making model, that is intelligence activity, design activity, and choice activity. Thank you very much.